What's up, guys? This is the Vikings and Next Doors with John Gramer. I'm your host, John Gramer, and in today's podcast, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on the Minnesota Vikings Week 1 depth chart against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, one thing I want to say before I start the video, I waited way too long to start filming this. It's almost 5:30 in the afternoon. I should have started filming much earlier, so I have time to make sure I can actually film, edit, and upload it in time. But obviously before the game tomorrow, because it's obviously a preview. That's what my thoughts on the roster is obviously going to be a preview. So to start, the Vikings signed D.D. Westbrook a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, and instantly my brother and I realized that we finally have a good wide receiver 3. We have not had a good wide receiver 3 for years. Back in 2018, we had Aldrick Robinson, who was okay, but like you could go on a 3-mile road trip from the start of his tenure with the Vikings to the end, and his tenure would have ended before then. He was with us for no time at all. I noticed the following year in 2019, I noticed he was gone. I kind of liked him, but he obviously didn't do much. And then we drafted B.C. Johnson in the 2019 draft, and the first game he played was against the Eagles when Adam Thielen was out, and he actually played pretty well. But my oldest brother and I can agree that he's not really a great number 3 guy. Like, obviously, you have Thielen and Jefferson most of the time, but let's say they're both covered and there's a third down. You don't want to have to rely on him to catch the ball on third down. You just don't. He's like, we have him and Chad Beebe. We had both of them, but neither of them were great targets. And so we signed D.D. Westbrook, but for some reason he's not the number 3 guy. Well, in fantasy, he's projected the most points out of these 3 guys: D.D. Westbrook, Amir Smith-Marset, I always mess up his name, and K.J. Osborne. First of all, K.J. Osborne is a return man, and he played pretty good during the preseason, but that's the preseason. Like, you can't take it too seriously then. And I've heard Paul Allen say, I don't know if he was actually being sarcastic, but I heard him say he's played so good under like the lights of the preseason. There's no reason to believe he won't translate that into the big lights of the regular season, which I don't think he's gonna. I still don't believe in him as a wide receiver. I don't. And then obviously Amir Smith-Marset is still a rookie. We don't know how good he's gonna be. And obviously Justin Jefferson was a rookie last year, but like, I'll say I already started liking Justin Jefferson after we drafted him. Not the same with Amir Smith-Marset. I don't really care about him. But here, D.D. Westbrook stats from the 2018 and 19 season. He was out. He had 1 catch for 4 yards last year, so we can't base it off of how he did last year. But his 2018 and 19 stats are 66 receptions both years, 717 yards, and 660 yards, respectively. That's 717 in 2018, 660 in 2019. Those are really good number 3 guy numbers. First of all, like, a number 3 guy, like, that I feel like that's really good numbers for a number 3 guy. Obviously, we have the number Justin Jefferson is like a 1,000 plus yard that Adam Thielen could get 1,000 yards. Last year he didn't get quite 1,000 yards. He had, I believe, 976 yards. But yeah, he still could be a 1,000 yard threat. And then D.D. Westbrook, who's supposed to be a number 3 guy. Like, a number 3 guy, you can, if he gets over like 500 yards, that's good. He got over 600 yards in both those years, over 650 yards in both those years. And for some reason, he's not our number 3 guy. I checked the unofficial depth chart for the Week 1 game, and I just rechecked now to make sure. I just rechecked before starting to make sure that this is right. Amir Smith-Marset and KJ Osborne are ahead of him on the depth chart. Like, why are those guys in front of him? Neither of those guys are number 3 guys yet. I don't know if Amir Smith-Marset is going to be good. No one really does. And then KJ Osborne as a return man, he's not mostly a wide receiver. He might be like a Cordero Patterson. He's more of a return man, but who knows? He's still really young. And then another thing. DJ Wanham is starting over Everson Griffin. I don't like the looks of that. First of all, DJ Wanham from last year. Okay, let's start with our defensive line. Our defense overall was so bad last year. Yannick Ngakoue, who I'm pretty sure played with us just until week 6, led the team in sacks. That's less than 40% of the year, and he led the team in sacks. Yannick Ngakoue is obviously a good pass rusher, but in 6 weeks or 6 games, I'm not exactly sure when he left or how many games he did play, but you should not lead the team in sacks if you only played for 6 weeks. You just shouldn't. You shouldn't lead the team in sacks when you only played for 40% of the year. All these guys had more than 2.5 times the games to out-sack him, and they didn't. But now let's get back to DJ Wanham. His stats from 2020 were 3 sacks, 24 tackles, and 5 tackles for loss. Those are good numbers. 3 sacks is decent. As a defensive lineman, obviously you want more. I'd say you want like at least 7 sacks. In Nick Bosa's rookie year, he had 9.5 sacks, and he was a really good pass rusher. So you want at least 7 to 8 sacks to be a reliable, good pass rusher, great pass rusher. Obviously, we already have Danielle Hunter, who should still be a threat to get over 10 sacks, because in 2019 he had not sure how many sacks he got that year, actually, now that I think about it. I know he had a big year in 2018. Now that I remember, no, he got 14 sacks in 2018 and 19. Monster numbers. 10 plus sacks are monster numbers, let alone 14 sacks. He was great in 2018 and 19. Last year, obviously, he was out the whole year. And he was supposed to get back in 4 to 6 weeks or something, but I heard my oldest brother, who is a huge Vikings fan, he knows a lot about the Vikings, say that he's going to be out for this year, focus on returning even better, giving himself more time to heal up, and then focus on the next year. Obviously, this was back in 2020 when that season was about to go on. We're into the 2021 season now, so he's focusing on returning the 2021 season, and obviously he's going to be a threat. He's one of the best pass rushers in the league. He's maybe a top 5 defensive end in the league. Obviously, he was injured last year. He might not be quite as good, because it's always hard to come off an injury, but it's still possible that he does insane, because he is insane. He's as a guy on sports radio, I heard a couple years ago say, if he had to make a real life version of a Greek god, Danielle Hunter is the perfect version. Danielle Hunter, first of all, he's fast for defensive lineman. He is a fast guy. He's also super strong, and even as Jerick McKinnon said in a 96 Questions video, his whole body is the same as his face, just one big muscle. He's so strong. You don't get 14 sacks in a season without being super strong. You have to be really strong. Obviously, Khalil Mack, TJ Watt, and also Cameron Jordan and Aaron Donald. Those are some of the best pass rushers. They're really strong, obviously, because they're elite pass rushing defensive linemen. Goodness, I'm getting carried away with these. But I don't like the idea of DJ Wanham starting over Everson Griffin. Everson Griffin still had a good year last year, even when, especially when he split between, I think it was the Lions, and he split between the Lions and the Cowboys. First of all, obviously, I'm pretty sure it's like generally hard to do really good in a season when you play for multiple teams in that season. But he still had some good numbers, like 6 sacks and 33 tackles. 6 sacks is already good. That's good for a number 2 pass rusher. Number 1 pass rusher, you want to get, I'd say, probably at least 10 sacks. A number 2 pass rusher, 5+ sacks is good. 6 sacks, that's good. I don't know why we're not starting him at the defensive end this week and instead starting DJ Wanham. Last thing, I was surprised when I found out that we actually got rid of Eric Wilson. He was so good last year. He had 122 tackles, led our team in tackles. He got more tackles than Eric Kendricks did, and even like Anthony Harris and Harrison Smith got. Those are two of some of the best tackling safeties in the league, and he got more tackles. And then he had 3 sacks, which is good. He's a linebacker. That's good. And then 3 interceptions. 3 interceptions is more than most defensive backs get in a season. And I know I said that in my last podcast. I want to remind you guys. 3 interceptions is more interceptions than most defensive backs get. The leaders in interceptions every year normally get like 5+. 5+, obviously that's a lot, but as a linebacker, 3 interceptions is insane. He and Eric Kendricks, I'm pretty sure, both got 3 sacks that year. Why do I keep on saying sacks? I'm pretty sure they both got 3 interceptions that year. I'm shocked that we got rid of Eric Wilson. He was a good linebacker. Anyways, that'll be it for today's podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment if the comments were not automatically turned off on my last podcast. I'm not sure why. I made sure to enable all comments, and the comments were still turned off. Maybe it's because I don't have enough subscribers or something. That could be the case because my friends have a channel that normally the comments were turned off when they were a really small channel, less than 100 subscribers. That's probably the case. Anyways, see you guys in the next video.